You're listening to the RetireCoast podcast, where money, business, and lifestyle come together. Join us each week as we explore smarter financial planning, starting and growing businesses, and building the life you want at every stage, from millennials and Gen X to today's retirees.
Thanks for returning to RetireCoast podcast. We're here today to talk about fixing your credit without getting scammed. We're going to cover this in 15 smart moves for millennials. And we're going to do this in a couple of ways. I'm going to give you some information right now, and then we're going to have a dialogue when this is over with that really goes into some detail and does a bit of a deep dive into this topic. So I'm going to kick it off by saying that many millennials and others are often scammed by companies or individuals out there that claim that they can fix your credit. I know this because a good friend of mine was telling me the same story, that he can get his credit fixed, and he found someone that can do it, and I said, they can't do it. I know all about this. Many years ago, before the whole system was more automated, I was able to work with people, and I helped people without being paid for it to actually fix their credit. And that was done basically by contacting the companies over and over again. I had a whole system worked out. But most of that's gone away now because the entire credit reporting system now is all automated. So there really isn't someone that will read your letters and respond to all kinds of pleas, take this off, I made a mistake, blah, blah, blah. So those things can't really happen, yet people are paying out lots and lots of money, and we give a couple of examples in here of companies that were actually prosecuted and spent millions of dollars paying people back for scams that they took. Now, there are ways that you can help improve your credit and kind of maybe, quote, fix it yourself, and we're going to go into all those things and basically say, hey, the best thing to do is to do it yourself, and then there are some helpful organizations out there that may be able to do some things for you on a kind of a counseling type basis. But let me just let you get into this, and so in a couple of seconds. But before I do, I want to jump into this and say, please go to RetireCoast.com, to our website. You can read the entire article. It's quite long. It has a lot of information in it. It has infographics in it. It has graphics in it. It has other tools that you can use, and then refers you to calculators and things that we have to help you with this whole entire process of improving your credit over time. So please go to RetireCoast.com and then read our Millennial Hub. We have many articles written specifically for millennials, and what's even more important is our Millennial Calculator Hub. And then coming very soon, we're going to have our Millennial Lab. Now, that will be a membership program that will have much more sophisticated AI-type tools in there to help you manage your finances and your life going forward. So please go to our website and see all the things that we've done for millennials, you, and maybe even some Gen Zs in the crowd. So stand by and listen to what our dialogue says about this topic. Thank you.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are wading into some pretty murky waters.
Yeah, this one feels different.
It really does. You know, usually we take a stack of articles and we try to make you smarter about tech or history or, whatever. But today feels a little more necessary.
It feels like self-defense.
That is exactly what it is. It's financial self-defense. We are talking about credit, but not the fun kind, not the here's how to get a travel rewards card kind of credit.
Yeah.
We are talking about the I messed up, I'm panicked, and I need to fix this yesterday kind of credit.
Which is a very, very dangerous headspace to be in.
It is. And, we have to acknowledge where we are right now. It's January 2026. And the financial vibe out there for millennials and Gen Z is not exactly a picnic.
No, it's intense. It's really intense. The source material we're digging into today, it's this fantastic breakdown from RetireCoast. It calls it a trifecta of stress.
A trifecta. Okay, break that down.
So first, you have the student loan situation, which, let's be honest, for a lot of people hasn't really resolved itself.
Not at all. It's just there, looming.
Then you have the surprise medical billing landscape. It's still a complete nightmare for a lot of folks, even with some of the new legislation.
Right. One trip to the ER can still derail everything.
And then the big one for 2026, employment gaps.
The churn. That's what they're calling it. We've seen so many layoffs and career pivots in the last, 18 months?
Exactly. So you have people who are educated, they're hardworking, they're smart, but maybe they missed 3 car payments back in 2024 because they were between jobs.
And now their credit score is just tanked.
Totally tanked.
Yeah.
And that creates this immense vulnerability.
Yeah.
When you are drowning in that trifecta of stress, you don't want a lecture on patience.
No, you want a life raft.
You want certainty. You want speed.
You want a magic wand. You want someone to just wave it and make the problem go away.
Precisely. And that demand for a magic wand is what created a billion-dollar industry of predators.
So, okay, here is the mission for this deep dive. We're going to walk you through this article, 11 smart things millennials can do to fix credit without getting scammed.
But we're going to go way deeper than just the list.
Way deeper. We're going to look at this massive legal bust that happened recently, a $1.8 billion lawsuit that, frankly, nobody seems to be talking about enough.
We're going to expose the actual mechanics of the scams.
Yeah.
How they work, why they feel so convincing.
And then we're going to give you the real roadmap. The boring, mechanical, completely free way to fix your credit. And spoiler alert, it involves 0 magic wands.
But it actually works, which is, the important part.
It is the only important part. But before we jump in, though, I really want to set the stage because I think a lot of people avoid this entire topic because of shame.
Absolutely. There is a massive moral weight that we attach to that little 3-digit number.
Right. If you have a 580, you feel like you're a bad person, like you failed.
And we need to just kill that narrative right now. A credit score is not a moral judgment.
Say that again?
It is not a judgment on your character. It isn't an IQ test.
Mm.
It is literally just a measurement of data patterns regarding how you handle debt. That is it.
It's just math.
It's a thermometer. You don't get mad at the thermometer for saying it's cold outside.
You just put on a coat.
You just put on a coat. Today, we're going to show you how to find your Coke.
I love that. Okay, so let's talk about the people trying to sell us fake heaters, the scams. The article makes a point about the psychology here that, it really struck me. It says the scam doesn't start with the scammer lying to you.
Wow.
It starts with you lying to yourself.
It's the internal monologue of panic. It's 3:00 a.m. You can't sleep. You're doom scrolling on your phone.
You've all been there.
And you're telling yourself, I'll never buy a house.
Yeah.
I've ruined my future. I am completely unbankable. And when you are in that state of catastrophic thinking, your brain literally shuts down its logic centers and just looks for relief. Any relief.
And the scammers aren't selling financial products. They're not selling a service. They're selling relief.
Exactly. They are selling reassurance. That's the product. When you call these credit repair shops, they don't say, well, let's look at your debt-to-income ratio.
No, of course not.
They say, oh, don't worry. Don't you worry about a thing. We could wipe that clean. We have a team of lawyers. We have special relationships. Just sign here. They are selling you the feeling that the problem is gone.
But the problem isn't gone. And this brings us to the elephant in the room. The bust.
To the big one.
Because I think a lot of people assume these companies are just sleazy, but, technically legal. But we have a massive legal precedent that says something very different.
Yeah, this is a case against Lexington Law, CreditRepair.com, and their parent company, PGX Holdings. And if you haven't heard of this, it is historic.
How big are we talking?
So in August 2023, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, basically dropped a nuclear bomb on their entire business model.
A nuclear bomb. So we're not talking a slap on the wrist.
No. We're talking about a settlement that involved a $2.7 billion judgment. But more importantly, a direct $1.8 billion distribution to victims.
$1.8 billion.
There's a B. It's a staggering amount of money.
Who did that go to?
It impacted over 4 million consumers. These companies, the biggest names in the industry, were forced into Chapter 11 bankruptcy. They had to shut down about 80% of their operations overnight.
Wow. But the why is the key, right? What exactly did they do that was so illegal? Was it just that they didn't fix the credit like they promised?
It was actually more technical than that. And this is the part I wish everyone knew. They violated something called the telemarketing sales rule.
Okay. The telemarketing sales rule sounds boring, but I have a feeling it's important.
It's your best shield against these scams. The rule says very clearly that if a company is telemarketing credit repair services, they cannot charge you an advance fee.
An advance fee, so no money up front.
Not a dime. They cannot take any money from you until 2 things have happened. 1, the time frame they promised for the result has expired. Usually that's 6 months.
Okay.
And 2, they have to provide you with a credit report from after that time period that proves the results were achieved and that they stuck.
Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I understand this. They have to do all the work, wait 6 months to prove it worked, and then they can ask for payment.
That is correct. That's the law.
That sounds like an impossible business model.
Exactly. That is the entire point. The law was written that way because Congress knew that legitimate credit improvement is so slow and unpredictable that you shouldn't be charging upfront for something you can't guarantee.
So how are they getting around it?
Well, they were clever. They were funneling people in from these really deceptive ads about rent-to-own homes.
Oh, that is dirty. So you think you're clicking on a house listing trying to find a place to live?
Right. You click on this nice-looking house. The ad says, oh, bad credit. No problem. We can help. Just sign up for this service to qualify for the home.
And that's the hook.
That's the hook. Then they get you on a monthly subscription, $100, $150 a month, and they start charging you immediately. That upfront charging, that was the core violation.
So they were literally extracting rent money from people who were trying to save for a home without actually delivering any results.
And when the court finally came in and enforced the actual rule, when they said you have to stop charging up front, the companies went bankrupt almost instantly.
Which proves the whole business was a house of cards.
It proves they weren't selling results. They were selling a subscription to hope.
That is genuinely infuriating. But okay, that was the big bust. That was Lexington law. But, cockroaches survive nuclear blasts, right? These scams are still out there.
They are everywhere. They just change their names. They pop up under new LLCs.
So this is where the source gives us this red flag checklist. And I don't want to just, rattle these off like a list. I want to understand the psychology, how they trick you. Because I feel like I'm a smart person. I think I could spot a scam. But these guys are pros.
They are very, very good at what they do. Let's take red flag number 1. Promises to remove accurate information.
Okay, this feels like the biggest one.
It's the biggest hook. You have a late payment on your file. You know you were late. You forgot the bill. You were out of town, whatever.
It happens. Life happens.
But the scammer on the phone says, oh, don't worry about that. We can challenge the verification signature on the original contract. We could use a special legal loophole to scrub that from your record.
And you so badly want to believe that's true. But can they actually do that?
No. Legally, absolutely not. The Credit Repair Organizations Act is crystal clear. You can dispute errors.
Errors, okay.
If the data on your report is accurate, timely, and verifiable by the creditor, it stays, period.
Yeah.
If someone promises to delete a fact, they are lying to your face.
Okay, so that's the brightest red flag. What about red flag number 2? Urgency.
Oh, yeah. The high-pressure sale. This offer expires the second you hang up this phone.
Or, we only have 3 slots left for our premier attorney review this month.
Exactly. It's classic sales nonsense.
Right.
Real credit improvement is glacial. It is slow. It takes months, sometimes years. If they are rushing you, it is because they do not want you to have time to think or to read the contract.
What about this one, red flag number 4? The isolation tactic. This one feels particularly creepy to me.
It is the creepiest one.
Yeah.
This is when they will tell you, do not contact the credit bureaus yourself.
Why?
They'll say, do not check your own credit report. If you log into Experian or Credit Karma, you will reset the clock on our dispute process and ruin all our hard work.
Is there any truth to that at all?
Zero. Not a shred of truth. It is a pure control tactic.
So what's the real reason they tell you that?
They don't want you to see that they aren't actually doing anything. Or, even worse, they don't want you to sit there using a scorched earth tactic of disputing everything, even your good accounts, the ones you've had for 10 years, with perfect payment history.
And that can actually hurt your score?
It can absolutely hurt you. They need you blind and dependent on them for information. It's about control.
Okay, now we have to talk about this thing called jamming. Because when I read this part of the source material, I had a moment of, wait a minute, this sounds like it actually works.
It works in the same way that painting over a patch of mold works.
It looks good for a week.
And then the problem comes back even worse.
Okay, walk us through the mechanics of jamming. What are they actually doing?
So, under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, which is a legitimate law designed to protect you, when you dispute an item on your credit report, the Bureau Equifax, TransUnion, Experian, has 30 days to investigate that claim.
Okay, that seems fair.
It is fair. They have to contact the lender, say Bank of America, and say, hey, this person says they didn't miss this payment in July. Can you prove it?
And what happens during that 30-day window?
This is the key. If the Bureau cannot get a response from the lender instantly, or if the investigation is just marked as pending, they often have to suppress that item from your report.
Suppress it, meaning they just hide it.
They mask it from the scoring calculation. It's like it's not there temporarily. It's a soft delete.
So the negative item just disappears.
For a little while, yes. So the scammer, what they do is they flood the bureaus with hundreds of frivolous disputes. They'll dispute everything. That's the jamming. Maybe a few of those negative items get suppressed while the bureaus are sorting through the mess.
And the consumer gets an alert on their phone saying, "Congratulations, your score went up 40 points.
Exactly. The scammer calls you immediately. Look, we did it. We are wizards. Your score is fixed. And you're ecstatic. You think it's a miracle. You happily pay them another month's fee.
But that 30-day clock is still ticking.
It's ticking. And on day 31, or maybe day 40, Bank of America finally responds to the investigation with the digital proof. Yes, they missed the payment. Here is the timestamp.
Yeah.
Here is the record.
And the negative item comes right back on the report.
It comes back hard. And your score crashes right back down to where it was, or sometimes even lower. It's a dead cat bounce, a mirage.
But by then, the scammer has your money.
They have your money, and you're more confused and frustrated than when you started.
God, that is emotionally cruel. It's giving someone this incredible sense of false hope just to snatch it away a few weeks later.
It is, and worse, it delays you from doing the actual boring work that would have actually helped you in the first place.
Okay, let's pivot to that. The boring truth. I love that the source leans into this word boring, because in 2026, everything is gamified. Everything is flashy and exciting, but credit is basically accounting.
My rule of thumb is this. If the solution to your credit problem feels exciting or dramatic, it is probably a scam.
That's a great rule. The article says credit scores do not care about effort. They only care about patterns. And that is a really hard pill to swallow.
It's so hard. You can be working 3 gigs, eating ramen noodles, trying your absolute hardest to be responsible. But the algorithm, the FICO algorithm, is a cold mathematical formula. It doesn't see your sweat.
It's a lagging indicator. I like that phrase. It means it's looking in the rearview mirror, not at what you're doing right now.
Exactly. It's a snapshot of your past behavior. So the only way to fix it is to create a new past. And the boring formula is painfully simple. On-time payments, low utilization, and time.
And the most important ingredient in that recipe is time.
Time passing without new negative events. That's the secret sauce, and you can't buy that.
Okay, so let's break down the DIY action plan from the source. This is the part where, if you're listening, you should probably take notes. It's free and it's effective. Step 1, get the credit report.
Okay, right now, open a new tab on your browser. Type in ANEALCREDITREPORT.com.
And you're being very specific. Do not just type free credit report into Google.
Please don't. You'll get 100 ads for sites that sing catchy jingles but are designed to trap you in a subscription you don't need.
So, annualcreditreport.com.
It's the federally authorized source. It's ugly. It looks like a government website from 2005. That's how you know it's the real one.
Yeah.
You can get your full reports from Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion for free. And they updated the law, so you can usually get them once a week now.
So we get the report. It's a mess of numbers and codes. What are we actually looking for?
You are doing a cleanup, not a rewrite. The goal is an accurate file, not a fictional one. You are looking for factual errors.
Like what's a common error?
The most common one is mixed files.
Mixed files.
Yeah, this happens a lot if you have a common name. If you are John Smith Jr. and your dad is John Smith Sr. and he, creates a mountain of debt.
Oh, no.
Sometimes the Bureau's matching algorithms get confused and they dump his bad debt onto your file.
That feels incredibly unfair.
It happens more than you'd think. Or if you have a twin. Or just someone with a similar social security number. So you are looking for accounts you simply do not recognize. That is what you dispute.
But you are not disputing the time you forgot to pay your Kohl's card back in 2023.
No. If it's true, leave it alone. In fact, disputing accurate information can sometimes flag your account for a manual review, which you really don't want. Just focus on the errors.
Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is monitoring. And here the source makes a really important distinction between the report and the score.
Yes, and this is a huge point of confusion for so many people. The report is the raw data. It's the list of what you did. The score is just a summary number calculated from that data.
But here's the catch, right? There isn't just one score.
Not even close. There are dozens of scores. There's FICO, there's Vantage Score.
And even within FICO, there are different versions.
So many. Your banking app probably shows you a Vantage Score 3.0 because it's cheap for them to license that data. But when you go to apply for a mortgage, the lender is going to pull a FICO 2, a FICO 4, or a FICO 5.
And they can be wildly different.
They can be 40 or 50 points different. So my advice is don't obsess over the specific number you see on your app.
So what should you do?
Use the app to track the trend. Is the line on the graph generally going up or down? That's what matters. Directional progress.
Direction over destination. I like that. Okay, step 3 is utilization. And this is where I think we can give people a real deep dive insight. The source talks about paying down balances. That's basic advice. We all know that.
Right.
But there is a mechanic here regarding when you pay your credit card bill that changes everything.
Yes, this is the number one thing people misunderstand. It's the difference between your statement closing date and your due date.
Okay, break this down for us. This sounds important.
It's critical. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say your credit card has a $1,000 limit. This month you had a lot of expenses. You spent $900. You're at 90% utilization, which is terrible for your score.
Very high.
Your bill is due on the 30th of the month. You're a responsible person. So on the 30th, you pay the entire $900 off. You think, I'm good. My balance is zero. I paid in full.
Right. I did the right thing.
You did. But the credit card company usually reports your balance to the credit bureaus on the statement closing date.
And when is that?
That is usually about 21 to 25 days before your due date.
Wait a minute. So they took the snapshot of your account when the card was maxed out.
Exactly. Even though you paid it off in full and on time for that entire month, the credit bureau's record shows you with a 90% utilization, and your score tanks because of it.
That feels like a trap.
It's not a trap. It's just a data syncing issue. But you can use it to your advantage. The hack is this. Call your credit card company or look online and find out your statement closing date for each card.
Okay, get that date.
Then pay the majority of your bill 3 days before that date. Let the statement close with a tiny balance, like $10. Then, after the statement closes, pay that last $10 off before the due date.
So the bureaus see a 1% utilization instead of 90%.
Precisely. It is the single fastest, 100% legal way to manipulate your credit score upward.
That is the nugget of the day right there.
Yeah.
Pay before the statement closes, not just before the bill is due.
It can make a 30 or 40-point difference in a single month.
Wow. Okay, step 4 is managing judgments. This is the heavier stuff. I have a friend, he had an old landlord dispute, a zombie debt that just popped up on his report like 4 years later.
That's a nightmare.
It was. He had the money to pay it, but he was terrified that touching it, that paying it would actually make it worse.
And that is a valid fear. Sometimes paying a very old debt can reactivate it. It resets the date of last activity, making it look like a fresh negative mark.
So what do you do in that situation? You can't just ignore it.
You can't ignore a judgment. If it is a valid debt and you have the cash, you need to negotiate. But, and this is the most critical part, you do not pay a single cent until you have an agreement in writing. You need either a pay for deletion agreement, where they agree to remove it entirely, or, at the very least, a satisfaction of judgment letter. You need it in writing.
Why is the paper trail so important?
Because debt collectors have notoriously short memories. If you pay them over the phone based on a verbal promise, they will happily take your money and then forget to update the credit bureaus.
And then you have no proof.
You have no leverage.
What?
You need that letter so you can send it to the bureaus yourself to force them to correct the report if the collector drops the ball.
In writing, or it didn't happen?
Always. With anything related to debt.
Let's zoom out a bit. We're doing all this work. We're being boring. We're paying before the statement date. What is the target? What are we aiming for? Section 5 talks about defining what good credit even means.
Yeah, and this is where we need to deprogram ourselves from what we see online.
Mm-hmm.
We all see these influencers bragging about their 850 perfect score.
Right, the unicorn score.
But the source makes a great point. The goal shouldn't be perfection. It should be access.
Access to what?
Access to prime interest rates. The ability to walk into a bank or a car dealership and not be treated like a second-class citizen. That's the goal.
Let's look at the mortgage tiers, because in 2026, buying a home is already hard enough with prices being what they are. You don't want the interest rate to kill you, too.
It can absolutely kill the deal.
Yeah.
So the absolute floor for most conventional loans is generally a 620 FICO score.
620.
If you are below 620, you are likely in subprime land. You might struggle to get a conventional loan at all. You'd probably be looking at FHA loans.
And FHA loans are a good thing. They help people, but they have a catch.
They are a great safety net, but they come with expensive mortgage insurance that, in many cases, you can't get rid of for the life of the loan. It's a permanent extra cost.
Okay, so you break 620, you're in the game.
You're in the game.
Huh.
The 660 to 719 range is considered good. You'll get the loan. But 760 and above is the magic number. That is usually where the best interest rates cap out.
So the difference between a 760 and an 800 or an 820 is basically just vanity.
For a mortgage, mostly, yes. The lender isn't going to give you a better rate for being at 820 versus 760. But the difference between a 620 and a 760, that is real wealth.
How much are we talking?
On a standard 30-year mortgage at 2026 home prices, that interest rate spread could cost you over $100,000 extra in interest over the life of the loan.
$100,000. That's a retirement fund. That's a college education for a kid. Just gone. Vaporized into interest payments.
That is why this matters. It's not about getting a gold star on your report card. It's about keeping your own money in your own pocket.
But there is a catch. There's a hidden metric that can trip you up even if your score is great.
Yes. The silent killer. Especially for millennials and Gen Z. The debt-to-income ratio, or DTI.
I feel like nobody talks about this enough.
They don't. You can have an 800 credit score. You can be perfect on paper. But if your DTI is too high, the bank will deny your mortgage application flat out.
Okay, explain DTI for the people in the back. What is it?
It's simple math. It's the percentage of your gross monthly income, your income before taxes, that goes toward paying your monthly debt obligations.
And what counts as a debt obligation?
Your rent or current mortgage, your car payment, your student loan payments, the minimum payments on all your credit cards. All of that gets added up.
And in 2026, with rent being what it is.
Right. Let's do a quick example. Say you make $5,000 a month before taxes, but your rent is $2,000. Your car is $600. Your student loans are $400.
You're already at $3,000 a month in payments.
Exactly. You're already at a 60% DTI before you even add a new mortgage. Most mortgage lenders, for a conventional loan, want to see you under 43% and ideally under 36%, including the new mortgage payment.
So even with a perfect score, you're just stuck. The math doesn't work.
The bank's underwriting software looks at you and it just sees risk. It doesn't care that you're a good person who's never missed a payment. It sees that you have no margin for error. If your car breaks down, you can't pay the mortgage.
And this connects right back to that trifecta we talked about at the beginning. The student loans aren't just an annoying monthly payment. They are actively eating your future borrowing power.
Which is why this strategy of paying down credit card balances is so doubly effective.
How so?
It raises your score by lowering utilization, and it lowers your monthly minimum obligations, which directly fixes your DTI. It's a two-front war, and that's the battle you want to fight.
Okay, we've covered the DIY pass pretty thoroughly, but is there ever a time to call in the cavalry? Section 6 talks about legitimate help.
Yes. There is absolutely a time to raise your hand and say, I can't do this alone. But you have to call the right people.
So if you're drowning, if you literally cannot make the minimum payments on your debts, do not call someplace you saw on a late-night TV ad.
Please don't. Do not call a credit repair shop in a strip mall.
Who do you call?
You call the NFCC, the National Foundation for Credit Counseling.
They sound official and nonprofit.
They are. They're accredited nonprofits. They aren't trying to sell you a monthly subscription. Their counselors can put you on something called a debt management plan, or a DMP.
And what does that do?
They have pre-existing agreements with the major banks and credit card companies. They can negotiate to lower your interest rates, sometimes from 25% down to 6% or 8%, and consolidate all your payments into one single manageable monthly payment.
That sounds like actual, genuine relief, not the fake relief the scammers are selling.
It is real relief, but there's a trade-off. To get on a DMP, you usually have to agree to close the credit cards in the plan. You have to commit to stop borrowing to get out of the hole.
So it's like rehab for your finances.
That's a perfect way to put it. It's structured rehab.
And what about lawyers? The scammers always say they have lawyers. When do you need a real lawyer?
You only need a lawyer for specific legal fights. If you are a victim of identity theft and the bureaus are refusing to fix the clear fraud on your report, or if a debt collector is actively harassing you in violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, you hire a lawyer to enforce the law, not to tweak your score with magic loopholes.
The source also mentions a tool that sounds kind of interesting, the AI-assisted credit support tool. Sounds a little fancy.
It's actually a really simple, clever idea. It's basically a triage nurse for your financial problem.
A triage nurse.
I like that. Yeah, you go to the website, you type in your situation like, I have a judgment from an old landlord and 3 maxed out credit cards, and the tool analyzes it.
And what does it tell you?
It gives you a direction. It'll say, your problem is cash flow. You need to contact a nonprofit credit counselor. Or it might say, this sounds like identity theft. You need a lawyer. Or, your score is fine. You just need to budget better. This is a DIY problem.
So it prevents you from hiring a surgeon when you just need a Band-Aid.
Exactly. I love the triage concept because when you're panicked, every single problem feels like a 5-alarm emergency. This helps you right-size your response.
It does. Okay, I want to wrap this up by talking about a story from the source material. It's the case study of Charlotte and Henry. Because lists of rules are great, but seeing it in action, I think, really helps.
This story is so important because it's not a one weird trick kind of story. It's a story about patience.
So tell us about Charlotte and Henry.
They were a couple trying to buy their first home. They did the responsible thing. They saved up a down payment. They went to a loan officer, and they basically got laughed out of the room.
Ouch, that's harsh.
It was. Their scores were in the high 500s. They had an old car repossession on their file. They had maxed out credit cards from a period where one of them was unemployed. They were the classic trifecta victims we talked about.
And the temptation in that moment must have been overwhelming to call one of those credit repair companies.
They almost did. They were quoted $3,000 for a rapid rescore package from some shady online company.
$3,000.
But they paused. They looked at the math. They realized that $3,000 could completely pay off one of their high-interest credit cards. Giving it to a stranger to wave a magic wand, it felt wrong.
So they decided to go boring.
They went full boring. They created a written budget for the first time in their lives. They cut lifestyle costs, stopped eating out. They used the snowball method to attack the smallest credit card balance first to get a quick win.
And what about the big scary thing? The repossession.
They didn't ignore it. They contacted the creditor. They negotiated a settlement for less than the full amount owed. They got the agreement in writing that the account would be updated to paid in full, and then they wrote the check.
That sounds like it took a lot of courage.
It did, but it was the right move.
So the big question, how long did it take?
18 months.
18 months. See, that's the part that nobody wants to hear. That's not an overnight fix.
It felt like an eternity to them. They told the writer it was the longest 18 months of their lives. But think about the alternative. 18 months of discipline versus 30 years of paying a subprime interest rate on a mortgage.
When you put it that way, it's an easy choice.
They got their scores up to a 720. They went back to the same loan officer. They qualified for a standard conventional mortgage with a good rate. They didn't get a mansion, but they got a home.
And the most important part of that story, I think, is what happened next.
Yes, because they spent 18 months practicing that financial discipline, budgeting, tracking, paying things on time. They didn't default on the mortgage. They had built the muscle.
If they had just used some magic wand scam to fix the score without fixing their own habits, they probably would have ended up in foreclosure eventually anyway.
Precisely. You can't cheat the habits. The score is just a reflection of the habits.
We have covered a ton of ground today. The $1.8 billion bust, the jamming scam, the statement date hack, the reality of DTI.
It's a lot. But credit is a big, complex machine. You have to understand how it works to make it work for you.
I want to leave the listeners with a final thought, a final provocation. We spend so much energy obsessing over this number, we let it define our self-worth.
I really do.
But if we look at everything we learned today, credit is really just a tool. It's a key.
Right. It's a key to a door.
And once you have the key and you've used it to open the door to the house or the car or whatever you need, you just open the door. You don't need to stand there polishing the key for the next 30 years.
You don't need to stare at the key. You just walk through the door and start living your life.
At what point does good enough let you stop stressing about the score?
That is the ultimate goal. Get to 760 and then go outside. Stop refreshing the Credit Karma app every day.
Stop refreshing the app. I love that as a final thought. For everyone listening, if you want to run your own numbers, check out the Millennial Financial Lab tools. They're linked in the show notes. Knowledge really is your best defense against these predators.
Stay boring, everyone. It's the best advice I can give.
Stay boring, stay safe. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you next time.